Hello, valued viewers. I hope you're doing very well. Today's video recounts the story of how Canadian Pacific number 694 wound up at the bottom of Lake Superior. Alright, so a quick history on the 10-wheeler type steam locomotive. The locomotive first appeared in 1842 as a 460 wheel-arranged locomotive, originally designed for passenger service. And a bit later, the 10-wheeler was adapted to pull freight trains, and all that was basically added was a bigger firebox and a wider grate area that allowed the locomotive to easily pull freights at that time. In the early morning hours of June 10th, 1910, Canadian Pacific number 694 was hauling a freight at a brisk speed of 35 miles an hour. The Canadian Pacific 694 was approaching an area known as Mink Tunnel near the town of Coldwell, when suddenly, out of the darkness, the locomotive's brakeman suddenly made out the outlines of a large boulder resting on the tracks. The boulder had ostensibly rolled down the adjacent cliff, and given the train's speed, the brakeman realized that the train could not be stopped in time. He panicked, he jumped from the locomotive, and the impact of his body against the ancient Precambrian bedrock was fatal. Sadly and tragically, he would not be the only victim that night. Now folks, I have to comment here that I don't mind telling you that I live on the Oregon coast at the foot of the Cascade Mountain Range, and I can tell you that the highways here along the cliffs don't have chain link meshes that cover the cliff sides, and rock slides are very, very common here, especially during the rainy season. And these boulders literally do come out of nowhere, and you gotta evade as quickly as you possibly can, if you can at all. So let me know in the comments below if you have an experience like this that you can share, that where something like a boulder like this came out of nowhere and you had to basically save yourself. Okay, so continuing on with the story. With a crunching sound of metal hitting rock, the big 10-wheeler locomotive struck the boulder. The locomotive tender and the first two boxcars, with nowhere to go, lurched over the embankment and down the 60-foot cliff into Lake Superior. The train took with it to the depths engineer Frank Wheatley, its fireman Earl Clark, and the big lake called Gikagami by local Indian tribes had claimed a few more souls. The damage was extensive. In addition to the loss of the 3 railroad personnel, a locomotive, a tender, and 2 boxcars, approximately 40 meters of track had all been destroyed. The wreck had also shut down the vital east to west rail line for the Canadian Pacific Railroad. In addition, 2 telegraph poles had been knocked down, which crippled the telegraph communication for the Canadian Pacific Railroad to the east. For this reason, local Canadian Pacific Railroad officials were the last ones to know what had happened. This accident became a legend among the locals, and certain elements regarding it would remain a mystery until quite recently, where the train was, where it disappeared to, and whether or not it was intact. It was left into Lake Superior until it was discovered in 2016 by a man named Tom Crossman. As of today, Canadian Pacific number 694 is still lying on the bottom of Lake Superior, and is said to be still in great shape. On July 22nd, 2016, a team of shipwreck hunters from Minnesota and Canada, led by Crossman, found the lost Canadian Pacific Railway locomotive number 694 in about 235 feet of water in northern Lake Superior. The wreck is one of a kind, said Crossman, a remotely operated vehicle operator from Duluth, Minnesota, who helped find the locomotive wreck. This is the only locomotive that I'm aware of that's in the Great Lakes, he said. Crossman's team, including Ron Benson, Todd Joncourt, Dave Schlinkler, and Mark Schlinkler, found the locomotive after about an hour of ROV searching last month. It is hidden among massive boulders on the lake bottom. After surveying the wreck for a week, Crossman had said that salvaging the locomotive itself is probably not feasible. He went on to say that the locomotive is pretty beat up. There had been this dream that if it could be found, it would be brought up and placed in a museum, but based on the amount of damage and deterioration over the years, I just don't think it's very likely. So guys, tell me what you all think about the possibility of raising this locomotive. Is it worthwhile with today's modern lifting technology to raise this locomotive from 230 feet of water in Lake Superior? to preserve history and the legacy of these men who lost their lives? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, I'll wrap up this video by saying thank you, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and turn on all of your notifications so you can see all of our new uploads that we do. And also visit our print shop on Nickel Plate Limited on Etsy.com. Thank you once again.